Hi everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of So From Home, hosted by me, Nikita Vora, where I interview my classmates in their final year studying fashion at Edinburgh College of Art. And today I have my first ever guest. So if you want to introduce yourself and sum up your collection or brand ethos in about 5 words.
Hiya, I'm Rosie, like brand name Rosemary. My collection's all about travel attire. Looking back in time at traditional travel attire, so lots of leather goods, layering up the body, accessories, so gloves, hats, lots of bags. I love bags, bringing them into a collection. And yeah, it's all about having fun, like a playful, doing the unexpected, and it's all about diversity. So I've got quite a lot of knitwear which has stretch to different body shapes. And
let's talk about your concept first of all. So where did your inspiration come from? Where did your research come from?
So when I was little, like I used to travel around quite a lot. Like my dad's job, he would always travel around, like he would be away for weeks. And then so it's because I had to travel around so much, I've just kind of brought that and like my method of like traveling when I would like layer up my body so my suitcase would be lighter.
Should we talk through your research? So if you want to share your screen.
So my research, so here's my concept page. It's just a picture of my head in front of a wardrobe and all my clothes on the floor with lots of bags. So like with the concept of traveling, having to fit my wardrobe into a bag. And like the clash from the wardrobe, because there's so many different outfits in a wardrobe, like formal wear, like casual, pajamas, it's all like in one place. And then when you put all of that into a suitcase, it's just a big clash. I was looking to 80s, 90s fashion, so like power dressing mixed with like the plaid, the tartan, which I love. Quite a lot of pinstripe, which I bring into my collection as well. Like just clashing it all together. And then
I like that you've got like the kind of masculine silhouettes here, and then you've contrasted that with like more sexy.
Yeah, it's like contrasting the two, like big power shoulders and then quite like fine knitting that reveals some areas of the body, but it's like it's powerful, like within the woman. Not
yeah, I agree. Like I do agree, like, you know, when you've got those big shoulders and then you've got maybe like the more sexy stuff, you feel like you're a boss when you're walking.
Yeah. This is developing my corsets, so just lots of sketch work, collages as well. Like my favorite research images, I just cut them out, piled them on top of each other just to get the silhouette I wanted to create.
I am loving the way you're collaging. So did you do the collage by hand or on?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's what I love it, because it actually, I think I miss seeing that kind of like interactive feel when you see maybe magazines sometimes, and I feel like you've got that down to a T, that you've still got that hand kind of done.
I tried to make it like kind of like a sketchbook that you would take on your travels, you know, when you're traveling and you like just chuck stuff in a little book.
It's so personal.
Yeah. And then this is where my research started. So I literally just got stretch material and like tied it around my body, like trying to imagine like the layers in the suitcase and just getting those layers and tying it around the body. So that's where it all began, basically.
You know, when you're doing your pattern cutting, because I feel like that do you work flat or do you work on the stand first? Because I feel like you definitely go stand.
Yeah, I'm a bit of both, but usually I am stand. Like I make it on the stand, like I do this on my body and then I try and work out how to make it realistic and into an actual pattern. Yeah, so my color palette's like brown tones, lots of browns, and then pops of color. So like my knitwear's like quite a bright blue, and then like a variety of browns. So yeah.
So where did you get the inspiration behind your color palette for this collection?
So it was looking into like traditional travel attire, which is like very much like leather goods and like the accessories, and usually they're quite like neutral tones. So it was bringing that in, but I also I'm usually like, I quite like a pop of color, so it's bringing that in my knitwear, but toning it down a bit.
I love, yeah, I also it's that whole thing like you've been saying throughout, is like that contrast between the two kind of styles. So I think it's cool that you've still got that pop.
Yeah, and it's in the color palette as well. So this goes into like my textile development and research. So my knitting, it's annoying because I started my knitting when uni was open, so I was using all the machines in uni, which was great. Like I loved the knitting that I was doing, but of course after Christmas, like I just couldn't continue with any of the knitting that I was doing, which absolutely sucked.
It is a massive compromise, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you had it all planned out in your head, and then
So
you're like,
annoying. Yeah, and when you have something that you really love, and then it's suddenly like, oh, I literally can't continue with it unless I hired like a professional knitter, which was like £500 a day. I'm like, no.
a day.
Yeah.
Well, at least you know that's something you could go into after. Did it force you to maybe go down avenues you wouldn't have chosen before? Or are you still in the limbo of being like, right, I still need to work out a way to adjust?
No, it's definitely like, it's made me like think of completely different approaches. Like with my leather that I'm making, I'm screwing it all together because I don't have a sewing machine that can sew the leather. So it's finding these new approaches that work. And yeah, it's good. Like it's made me be more creative with the way like I construct, and it's kind of like slowing it down a bit as well. Like it's more hands-on. It's like the small details that really make it.
But travel's so important and personal to everyone, and you doing it by hand and these little hand sewn like artisan pieces, it makes it personal, and like you're putting your energy into it.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. And yeah, it's just that like the traditional craftsmanship, so it's like bringing them back. Like we're not just relying on machinery to make it all now, it's actually like doing it ourselves.
Okay, so then we're on the textile development part, aren't we?
Yeah, so lots of knitwear. Ooh.
So is this before or after you realise I can't be using the machines anymore?
This was before. So these knit samples were done at home, but
I love that blue one.
yeah, that was doing like the tartan plaid pattern into knitting, which is fun. Yeah, so this knitting was in the uni, which I just started this technique, and it was just such a fun technique because you like pulled it and like the stitches like all undid. It was really cool.
It's so delicate.
Yeah, it was really delicate, but yeah, I feel like if that had more color and stuff, it would have been so cool. But hey,
yeah, and you would do that in the bright blue, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and because I would have like layered it up, so to layer up in like different directions as well, so it kind of created like the tartan pattern, but
I feel like I'm making you look back at stuff that you're excited about, and you're like, oh great, now I can't do it.
I can't do it.
It's like dangling a sweet in front of a child and being like, no, you can't have it, mate. They are so beautiful. But then you know what? At least, well, you've got ideas now that if you were, once we leave uni, and if you were to ever have your own,
yeah, exactly,
you can be like, okay, this is what I would do.
Yeah, that's so true. Like I would definitely want to do something with this.
And these images here in like in the black and white that you've got on top of the knitwear, how did you put those in the scanner and move it?
It was on a light box, so I just put all my knitting on the light box just so it would show like the detail of the knitting. Amazing. Yeah, so like in Instagram posted it, and I was like, that's a good idea.
It does. Do you know what? Looking at people's design books and like you showing everyone else who's watching this that your design book, it just shows it's not just about, you know, the final collection, it's the whole process. And like even your presentation is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I quite enjoy doing design book. It's like a good break from like making, and then it's like playing around with it. Definitely. So this was one of my second lineup, must be. Yeah.
Gosh. Oh yeah, this is after the textile project, isn't it? So this is I can see where you where you've got your knitwear pieces.
It's completely changed. Like I haven't done any of these outfits.
Right, scroll through, it never happened. Like, it must be so exciting for you to be like, all right, that's where I started, and now look where I
And
am.
to like see the development through this year as well is really good, definitely. So this was a skirt, so it's using like tartan pins to like gather up lots of fabric.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you sorry, go back. Are there trousers? There's trousers underneath the skirt.
So I've got trousers underneath that skirt, which this is now like 2 separate outfits now. Like the trousers are going under the coat, and then this skirt's much bigger.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's fun. And this was
these, you look very, very sexy in these, Rosie. I saw these. Everyone look at Rosie's Instagram account. She's put these up, and boy, oh boy, does she look good.
It's literally me just like putting my camera on my floor on timer, and I'm like, yeah.
You're feeding yourself in. You know what? Damn right, you should be.
Power dress. Yeah, so a cropped blazer that I was developing as well, and this is when I was putting a corset beneath it. It was fun, and yeah.
So they're really accentuating the shoulders, aren't they? So you're really dialing up the.
Yeah, like 2 shoulder pads in it to get that sharp edge, and then like quite for contrast with it being quite cropped. So yeah.
Actually, you know, this might be helpful for you guys and also everyone else who's watching. There's this TED talk by Amy Cuddy, and she is, like, when I say incredible, like I watched it 5 times, and I was first introduced to it at school, and I won't ruin the whole thing because it's actually like it's an emotional roller coaster. But one thing, she used to be a teacher, and she was saying, so students who have more open body language and who are like sat like this, and like, you know, some people who sit with their legs like open, and you know, when you're looking on a train, you can tell that person is quite like sure of themselves and confident. Yeah, which means, and she was like, it's scientifically proven that I think they have more testosterone, but she was like, if most of the girls often were quite like hunched over or like more shy and had more closed body language. So the fact that you're like almost forcing people to open up their body language actually, like, I think almost scientifically makes them feel like a lot more confident inside.
Like displaying like confident and making them feel like quite empowered in themselves.
Yeah.
I'll show you. So this is the more like the latest stuff I've been doing. So here's a sample of what I was talking about earlier, like screwing the leather together. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Which distance have you gone for? Are you changing it throughout?
No, I've gone for the top one.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's my fave. Yeah, but those ones are too close together.
Are your corsets made out of leather?
So one corset is, and in one corset it's like a pinstripe. So
yeah,
pinstripe. So yeah, it's kind of like doing the unexpected with my fabric. So like you would never usually see a pinstripe corset, which is quite fun.
I would 100%. I love wearing corsets, like when we go out and stuff. And also, they're really in at the moment because you're doing them, I'm doing them. I've seen other people from the class are doing corsets.
Yeah, I feel like quite a few people are doing corsets.
Yeah,
great. Like I love them.
I love these photos on the left.
Yeah, I found these like when I was researching in the library. They're so cool, and it just just shows like the accessories, like the hats. And like the oversized coats and like holding a blanket. I quite like that. So yeah, development of my crop suit. So yeah, I was doing trousers. This jacket is now with a skirt, which you saw earlier, like this front skirt, and it's in leather. So it's gonna have like the screws detailing like along the sleeves, and yeah.
How are you finding working with leather? Especially doing tailoring actually, and without obviously the leather machine.
Yeah, I feel like now I've found my like screwing it together. It's fine, yeah. But if you have like a hole like slightly off, it completely like changes the shape. So you have to be so careful.
This has to be very precise the way you're doing it, but surely it must be so satisfying when you're like, yes,
Yeah,
I've
it's
got it
nice
right.
when you get it right. But yesterday, like I've been trying to make a hat for so long, but like screwing it together and it keeps just failing. I've made it so many times now and it just looks really bad.
When you're doing your toiles for your hats and your bags and like the leather fabric, so we usually use calico.
Mm.
But for people who are intending to use leather, what would you advise them to use as like the practice
Well,
fabrics?
I've been using like calico, but with really heavy interfacing, so like
Okay.
making it like quite stiff. Yeah, and then for some of my hats, because I've got quite a lot of this sofa leather, so I've just been making some of them in some of the scraps that I have, which is good that I've got the spare. But yeah,
Okay.
you have to get something quite similar to your final material, of course.
And now we're moving on to your coat.
The coat, so that's got like the screw detailing on the center back, the sleeve, the shoulder seams. So yeah, basically all the seams on the coat is screwed together because I can't sew it together.
So, sorry, on the, so that would be your right hat. Yeah, the right where the shoulder's like slightly exposed.
Yeah.
So are you gonna have it? Is it slightly exposed, or can someone like take the screws out if they
Yeah,
want
you
to
can
have?
kind of like adjust it yourself and like style it the way you want, but I quite like it with the shoulder exposed. But of course,
I like it.
to like build it up, they could just screw it back together and it would just be a normal jacket.
And even like you could have it as like a kind of like a waistcoat, kind of long jacket.
Yeah, exactly. You could like remove the sleeves and it'd be fun. It's quite like more of a traditional but contemporary, of course, like the mixture of the two.
It's nice though. I think it is definitely nice in a collection to have, because like you said, yours is, you've said like it's for about diversity, and not everyone is out there, but everyone might like pieces from your brand. So it's kind of nice that you've included bits that, someone wants something more classic and then a bit more out there and modern. I think it's a good balance for sure.
And then like on top of the coat, I'll have like belts and just ties and stuff, which brings in the whole concept of like luggage. And then this is a skirt that I've been working on as well. It's changed quite a lot. So it's just like loads of fabric and like scrunching it up in different ways. But now I've added like another layer underneath it. So it's like a 2-layered skirt, and like the top layer is all scrunched up and the bottom layer's more of like a pencil skirt. So
Yeah.
it's a mixture of.
See, this is why this is exciting, because everyone's seen like what you started off with and they were like, oh, that's cool, that's exciting. And then to go from there to here where it's developed so much, you start with like the foundation of it and then you just keep adding and then you get to something like this.
Yes.
Are you doing gloves?
Yeah, I will be doing gloves, but yeah, so I tried doing like leather gloves, but they were so hard to do, and I didn't realize what a challenge they were. But I will be doing gloves, but not.
Also, you would do the gloves, you would have to do it with those the screws, wouldn't you?
Yeah, or like I was practicing like hand sewing, but it took like 4 hours to do half of one hand. So yeah, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, no.
Not happening, sadly. But yeah, maybe I will do some gloves in like a different material, like a stretch that I can sew on my machine, because that would be much easier and probably a much cleaner finish to having to like hand sew gloves.
Also, it might be a nice contrast from like the actual leather of the jackets and the coat as well, to have like a different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then here I was planning on having the skirt in like a tartan, but I think I'm gonna have like tartan on like headwear, and then this skirt will be a pinstripe, like a grey pinstripe. Here's some of my knitting, which I'm doing panels and I'm like stretching it around the body, so like changing the direction of the knit so it kind of flows with the curves is the plan. So
this has kind of come from your research initially, where you were kind of tying it around.
Yeah, so that's from when I was like wrapping it around the body and basically trying to bring like the layers from chucking on layers, but bringing it like into quite a delicate into my knitwear. So yeah, I'm just like attaching it in areas and then stretching it in different directions, which creates like this wave and this pull of the knitwear.
So when and if you want to become like an established brand, then these pieces, for example, if you were to sell them, would be one-offs, wouldn't they? Because it's all kind of
because I literally knit it all and then work it on the body, so it's very organic.
And I sometimes buy things. Most of the reason why I'll buy like maybe some jewelry or like whatever I'm wearing, often I'll be drawn to it because I'll be like, okay, I know that a lot of people won't have that, and it will make it's that thing of like being personal. And sometimes like when you're in fashion or you choose more like out there fashion pieces, it's because you want to almost stand out and you want to feel like, oh, I'm individual and like no one has this. And with your pieces, which I think with fast fashion and like our consumerism nowadays, everyone is on trends and everyone wants to kind of get like, oh, what she has or what he has. And I think what you're doing is so exciting because it brings that element of fashion back that I think is so important. That is like, only I'll have it, or it's personal to you, rather than just doing it because, oh, he or she or whoever it is.
Like everyone has it. And yeah, it's quite nice because you can just do it for the person as well. So like if I can do it for people of all different body shapes and stuff. So yeah, and because it's stretch, it just works with the body instead of having too much structure, and it just kind of goes against the body shape. So that's what I really like about my knitting. It just works and flows with the curves.
And it doesn't exclude anyone at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this is on my knitting machine I have at home at the moment, which you can see like some of the ends. It's not working perfectly at the moment, but I'm getting.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it adds like quite just playful, but yeah, it's all done at home on my knitting machine and good fun.
Well, then that is kind of a plus that, you know, you didn't have to completely cut knit out of your collection.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could adapt it. Like that would have been so sad if I had to completely drop it, because I do really like knitting, which is
I would have cried.
No, it's so lucky because I brought a knitting machine during the first lockdown, like over summer. And I was like, I probably won't need this in my 4th year because uni would be open, but of course not. But so it's actually so lucky that I brought it then. And
also it's quite nice because this summer you can make some knitwear. Well, everyone who's liking Rosie's collection so far, in the summer she'll definitely be having some of these pieces.
Yeah, I feel like that's the good thing about COVID and working from home, is that we've had to adapt our collections to work from home, and then like after uni we're not going to have that like drop from when it's like, oh, what do we do now? Like we could actually continue what we're doing, which is quite good, like if we want to, which I feel like that is a good thing about it. But
it makes you rely on yourself a lot more and like think, okay, how am I going to work this out for myself without having to always ask for help.
This outfit is a dress that I was making. It's more like this now. It's like there's a big drape section and then the corner at the back, which these aren't very good images of it. But
so what material is this going to be in like silk?
It's going to be in like a silky but a pinstripe like pattern.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of, and then the corset, the plan is for it to be in the leather. So
full contrast. So you know these, so you've said pinstriped a few times, so I'm not pulling you up and saying that, but are the pinstriped material, have you sourced them from outside, or are they your prints? How are you?
So I've made a couple of pinstripe prints for this dress. I'm still not completely happy with it yet, so I'm still developing that print. And then I've got a fabric which I'm using for like my more tailored pieces, like the big skirt is in this tailored pinstripe, which is like a grey and a white, so it's pretty. I really like this pinstripe. It was out of stock for ages, and then I called up the company just like, do you have this in, when can you get it back? And they ended up having it all, like they had loads of it and they just didn't have it on their website, so it's worth
yeah,
piecing it up.
that is one of the also. Okay, so in terms of, so we had a project, so I think you saw in Rosie's design book where it was fabric innovation. So like in that project, we also have to source materials and contact suppliers if we weren't doing our own prints. And obviously Brexit has happened, COVID, so obviously, you know, you've got the duty taxes on the fabrics. Has that impacted you in any way, of like you being like, okay, no, I have to make sure it's sourced from the UK? Or were you like, oh
Yeah, so there were a couple of fabrics which, like one of the shops, it was no longer shipping to the UK, and I was like, okay, I have to suddenly like source a load more that are from the UK. But luckily I'm pretty sure it is shipping to UK now, but there was a good phase where I was like, oh god, this could actually have a huge impact on us.
so what's next? Are we still going through your
Yeah, so now this is like the end of it, so some technical drawings and a few illustrations, but yeah,
they're so energetic and exciting.
they're a bit like, I go
Technical.
overboard, but that's just my style. But yeah,
That's like, so for people watching, and like if like whatever year you're in, or like if you're into fashion illustration or whatever, I think what's so important, like we were saying Roses, and she's like, I go overboard, but it's your, I guess illustrations are almost our self-expression, like that's our like USP, and and that's like the exciting bit where we can go like crazy out there. And then the range plan, like the technicals, for example, that you see, is like that you have to be, yeah.
Yeah, and then this one as well, which trying to show
attitude. Do you want to show me some of your samples, your fabric samples? Like maybe like show me the ones, I will show us, I forgot you guys are watching this, aren't you? So show us the ones that you aren't using, or like the development of your fabric samples.
So I'll show you like the screw technique, which I've been doing. So this is like 2 layers together. This leather's much thinner than the actual one that I'm using, but so I've like glued it together and then I'm screwing on top of it. So yeah.
Wait, sorry, what have you've glued what together? 2 pieces of leather?
2 layers, yeah, and then I'm like screwing on top as well, just to make sure like it's really secure. And
okay, nice. When you're working with leather, so a lot of we've used glue in the past for like workshops, and you use did you use copy decks glue?
Yeah, it smells of fish.
I kind of like the smell. I know that sounds weird because I don't think it smells of fish. Okay, so you used copy decks for that one. Well, I've made you probably feel a bit ill by saying I like them.
It's fishy. It's so gross.
I'm not weird, like as in it's not good. All right, whatever.
I've got another sample here, which is like hand stitching. So that's got the screw and then some hand.
Oh, that must have taken ages. I'm loving the cross stitch on the left.
Yeah, I quite like that. So because I'm gonna have to join together some parts, I'm just looking into ways, because like it will be in like random areas of the coat that I'm gonna have to just stitch or combine 2 panels. So yeah, that's me trying to work.
Like, I really like that. Do you think you're going to go with that one?
I'm not sure. Maybe in areas, like not on the outside, but maybe inside details. I may have this, like on maybe the inside facing, I'm thinking, on the center front. That could be quite nice. But yeah, I do like it, and I think it will be somewhere, but probably not on the outside, because I feel like there's a lot going on already.
Yeah, you don't want to make it too busy.
I don't want it to be too like, I don't want it to be too crafty, you know, and like a lot of like hand stitching and stuff. Like I want it to be luxury.
Quite good though. This is a good thing that you raised, that for people watching as well, is maybe this is the first time I properly considered it, because in previous projects we haven't always had to line it. Like in our 3rd year, for example, COVID hit, so we couldn't make it in our final fabrics, whereas this collection we've had to really consider not just the outside, and like usually the inside is the thing that I kind of think of after. Have you realized that actually, I need to think about how I'm finishing the inside?
I've realized I've never actually like pattern cut a lining until now.
You want to show me some of your other I keep saying me, but show us some of your the pinstripe pieces as well that you've done.
Oh yeah, I'll show you my fabric. I've got a huge bundle of those. This is like my final one. It's like a grey pinstripe. It's pretty.
Is that from Fabric House?
No, it's from Croft Mill. Croft Mill, is that what it's called?
Yeah. I've ordered samples from. It looks like one of the ones.
I feel like I've ordered that sample from Fabric House because when this was out of stock, I was trying to find like the exact same somewhere else. But yeah, I love this. It's so pretty.
It's so beautiful. So maybe in the description we'll leave some links to some of the places that Rosie has got her fabric samples from, just so it can help everyone, because finding fabrics is
such a and it takes up so much time. So this is like the knitting that you saw the image of. So
yeah, that's so beautiful. Are you gonna go? So is that the color you're going for?
Yeah, I love this color.
Yeah. So, and it also, well, I clearly like it, but it also goes like, it looks like it will go really beautifully with the leather pieces as well.
Yeah, quite like obviously the contrast I keep saying. Get out.
I think it's quite important to pick up as well on the fact that you're using leather offcuts. How did you source the leather offcuts, and where did you get that idea from that you wanted to use like pre-loved leather?
Yeah, so I contacted loads of places. Basically I used to live in Kent, so I just contacted loads of places down there because they've just got loads of upholstery places. I just sent them an email like, hey, have you got any offcuts? I'm a fashion design student and like trying to be sustainable, all of this. And they were all so lovely, and so many people got back to me just like, yes, like please take them. We've got so many sofas and we're trying. So good, yeah. So yeah, that was amazing. And I've got like, they're nice colors as well, like this one. It's like a red.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. Also, do you know what the effect of it once it has almost been like obviously sat on and like used?
Quite nice because it's got that worn.
Yeah, I agree.
Like some of them, like I can't use all of it. Like some of them have like cat scratches on, you know, cats like.
Yeah.
I can't use that in my collection, sadly. But yeah, like leather like that.
I like that color a lot.
This would be great for like my headwear and my luggage and stuff. So yeah.
So in the future, do you think, obviously as designers we all definitely want to be more sustainable, obviously what's going on in the world, we definitely want to be, so is this an approach you would take to being more sustainable, is like contacting suppliers for offcuts?
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. And yeah, sustainability is so important for everyone to just, it's the little things as well. Like it's very hard to be 100% sustainable, but when you put effort into just reaching out, like a lot of places that you can recycle, you can try your best.
100%. It's like if you don't ask you don't get, it's like that.
Exactly, like it's worth trying. And yeah, to just be as sustainable as possible, I think that's quite important.
So to sum up your brand, what do you think is like one of the most important things about your brand that you want people out there to know?
I think it's just
big question, isn't it?
It's like pushing the boundaries in a way that you're kind of combining the unexpected together to make quite a fun, crazy look, which I really like. And I like that clash. Like I like combining like what wouldn't usually be seen together to make it work. And yeah, it's all about having fun. Like I don't want it to be too serious and too controlled. Like I just want to like have fun with it, and that's so important for me to just like enjoy this collection and literally just like, play around with it, because you might as well have fun with it.
Everyone who's going to be in there for, I think doing a creative subject, like when we go into industry, we've been told that, you know, you're going to have to hone back and you're going to have to do things that people actually want to wear a lot of the time. So now is like not the last chance, but one of the chances where you can just like go big, go home,
go crazy,
which is fun.
Yeah.
And I love that you're saying like you don't want it to be too serious and you want it to be playful, because you know what, sometimes I think people sometimes overthink. Like, I'll wear stuff, and you know what? I'll have my bad days. Like today, some people might think, Nikita, what are you doing? Like you're having a bad day.
Stop.
Thank you. But some people might think I look like a clown or a smurf. But I think it's about having fun. I think it's important to highlight that we didn't have like that long teaching about how to make bags. So really in hats, and like, so you've really kind of had to teach yourself, especially since we've not been at uni. So how have you found that with the bags and the hat making?
Yeah, it's definitely been like remaking so many times. Yeah, with the bags, I always make it in paper first, like we were taught to in our workshops, which was an amazing way of doing it, and it saves so much time, like sewing it all up when it fails.
Yeah,
you kind of like see it when you're doing it in cardboard. Yeah, I find like bags and headwear quite a challenge, but also like you're learning while you do it. Like with like when I'm making the coat, I had to make it so many times to get it right, but you get there in the end.
You never get it right the first time. Like rarely do you. You don't. No.
Yeah.
So speaking of getting it right the first time, how have you found working from home during COVID? Because obviously, for a bit of context, well, actually, obviously everyone knows, but in December we go to uni in Edinburgh, and the art school basically shut. The main library's open right now, but the art school's still shut. So we've been working from home, and I think we'll continue to do so till the end of the year. So yeah, how's your experience been? Like the good, the bad, the ugly?
It's been hard, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's because it's the same room, it's the same four walls, and it's just like, and it's being inspired as well, because I'm so inspired by like my surroundings and stuff, and it's just going kind of crazy in this one flat. But yeah, definitely getting there in the end. Going on walks and stuff have been so important.
So obviously you've had to adapt majorly, considering you've chosen the two things, so knit and leather, that you need to be at uni for machine. But yeah, but the thing is, if anything, it's proved to like create something so exciting that, again, like you said, you wouldn't have done the processes that you ever did. Like you would have used the leather machine, whereas you've actually gone and used a different approach. And do you think that that's been important, like really important for you?
Yeah, for sure, because I feel like it's not going to go back to normal after COVID, and there will still be like that memory of it. So it's quite nice how like my collection, it brings through like not COVID but like the craftsmanship and like how we had to work from home, and it kind of shows like how I adapted, right? And it's quite clear in my collection how I did adapt to it. And like, yeah, we got there in the end, but it was definitely really hard at first. Like when I started my knitwear in uni and then the uni closed, I was suddenly like, what? Like, I don't know what I'm doing now. And like, it was Christmas, and like we were quite far on then. Like we kind of knew like kind of what we were doing at that stage. And then I was suddenly like, I suddenly need to redesign all my knitwear, which was stressful. But
then do you know what's so impressive is that how quick your turnaround was? Because when this all happened, it's like the first lockdown happened when we were in third year, but we kind of just packed our stuff up and left. So we had the space of Christmas whilst doing our dissertation to have that quick turnaround. So if anything, it didn't give us time to overthink. So it's so impressive how you've been like, no, okay, this is what's happened. And I'm sure you've had a few breakdowns, like everyone has, but you've turned it around like very, very quickly, which is impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely been hard, but I've learned so much this year. And like, as I was saying earlier, it's made us so much more independent as designers as well. And like, we could continue with this if we wanted to, which is exciting. And
it is like, as one of our tutors said to us, when sometimes people leave uni and we're all in the studio together and then you're by yourself and it's such a shock factor, whereas now, because we have been by ourselves for so long, like I think we're a bit more, maybe too much, but a bit prepared. But speaking of, you said you've learned so much. What have you learned about yourself as like a person going through this process, and also about yourself as a designer? Because I think, you know, when people are like, how are you? Like, we always answer with like, yeah, we're good. Like, we're doing this, we're doing that. But we never answer with like, yeah, no, like how we are emotionally. So what have you learned about yourself, like as an individual and as a designer?
Yeah, I've definitely learned like to prioritize myself in these times. Like that is so important. And I used to be like such like work all the time, but now like I feel like I'm more productive when I take some time for myself. Like I go out on walks, I enjoy the sunshine when it's nice. Yeah, it's just so important to prioritize yourself, especially when you're just in one space the whole time. You can go a bit crazy, and yeah, there's some days where I'm like, I can't do this, like I need a break from it. Like I definitely get that quite a lot. But yeah, but once you get used to that, give yourself your own time and stuff, it's so much more productive. And yeah, it's
I
just
agree with you.
yeah,
Because I think, because if you're saying like you were very like work orientated, I did this, and did you do this where like if you were feeling down or were like feeling unmotivated or whatever, or like personal things were going on in your life, did you just be like work and like kind of try and cover up how you were feeling by throwing yourself in? Because I do that, and I did that. I'm trying not to as much, but sometimes it's hard not to. But one of our tutors actually said to me, and I think this would help probably everyone because it actually made me step back. She was like, when these things are happening, you do sometimes need time for yourself, because at the end of the day, especially as designers, it kind of hinders you further down the line. Like there will be a point where it kind of catches up. So the fact that you're saying that is so important. Like, I think we know, like people need to hear it rather than just know it. So
definitely. Like I feel like we're all going through it, and yeah, it's tough, but
you're doing it.
Yeah, like we're doing it. We all are.
Yeah.
Every student at the moment, like it's so hard for everyone.
And it is it's amazing to see how, yeah, like student or like everyone has had to adapt and is adapting. It shows like resilience as humans.
Exactly.
Which is like actually, although yeah, it's so difficult, but like I guess that's a positive aspect. But also, yeah, what have you learned about yourself as a designer, or like maybe advice? What would you say?
I feel like when I came into like my final year, I was very much like, this has to be amazing. Like I put a lot of pressure on myself, and like every little thing I did, I was like, this isn't good enough. Like I was just overthinking it all, and I was like, this isn't enough. I just felt like I was just too much pressure on myself, and it's kind of letting that go, and just like having your own confidence in your work, which is so important. Like yeah, definitely just having faith in yourself and in your work. Just you can do it.
Okay, so to wrap up, I'm going to ask you a few fashion-based questions. So firstly, what does fashion mean to you? And then will you tell me, like, when was the first point when you were like, I love fashion and this is what I want to do?
From a young age, I feel like I knew I wanted to do fashion. When was it? I feel like it was when I would like look at magazines and stuff, and I would always like, my family would always be like kind of not push me, but they would always, they knew I was very creative and I wasn't gonna be like a lawyer or anything. And like they kind of pushed me to be creative from the start, which was really good.
Yeah, that is so important. And I think a lot of times people look down on the creative industry, and like hopefully that's well, I don't know if that's changing. I guess the bubble we're in is like we kind of maybe go towards that, the people who do support us in that sense. But I think it is so important to have that support from your family. And if you're watching and you don't, I think it's also important to know, you know what, you have to support yours, like as in be like, no, I back myself. And like Rosie was saying before, to have confidence in yourself is the most important thing. I think hooker by crook, believe in yourself and like believe in your source. Okay, and then what the other question I asked was, what does fashion mean to you?
I feel like I've always used fashion as like a tool to like look empowered or like look confident, because I'm not always the most confident person, and like you can dress to be confident and like be empowered, and it's a tool, like it's a great like form of self-expression, definitely, like without words. It's the first thing like someone sees about you, and it's like a bit of your personality. So,
It's like how it's like it's a superpower, isn't it? Almost
yeah,
that it's like you're putting. It is kind of like a costume, but it is a super. I think, especially as like creative for us, I definitely think it's a superpower to be able to express ourselves how we want. I also think what's quite important with Rosie's collection, and I've learned this, and I don't know if you guys can definitely tell, and let me know what you think, Rosie, as well, is that you're doing something which is like female empowerment, and you've contrasted the masculine with the feminine. And I think a lot of the time when people like us women, we think, oh, let's empower ourselves. Sometimes, like, because I do it, I'll go for maybe like the more baggy clothes or like the more masculine silhouette. But I think it's important to note that to be powerful as a woman, like you can also be powerful in the sense where you express your femininity, and the fact that you've
yeah,
got both is important.
yeah, that's what I did my dissertation about, actually. It's about like
I didn't even know
not
that.
dressing up masculine to look empowered. It's like embracing your femininity, but while like adapting like powerful features like the shoulder pads and stuff that just make a statement and are eye-catching. And yeah.
Okay, so let's actually wrap up. So do you want to plug yourself, like give me some accounts that people can find you on, or other side hustles that you've got going on, whatever you
Yeah,
want
so
to.
my fashion account, which is Rosemary Lindsley, give me a follow.
I'll put the link in the caption.
Thank you. And yeah, I just post like my development photos and yeah, just all my outfits. I've got research imagery on that, and yeah, just my fashion account would be great. Thank you.
Okay, nice. So thank you so much for being my first guest,
Thank you for
because
having me.
no, I loved it. And also, please, please, please go and give Rosie a follow her journey, because we finish May 8th, somewhere along the line. So by then, you'll see her in full flourish. And then I'll be getting Rosie back on so we can talk about the manufacturing process and the actual fabrics she's used. So you'll see the leather, you'll see her final collection. We can talk about things that you found difficult or things that you love about your collection, and then go through more of like the styling elements that we have to do, the fashion shoot. So yeah, I can't wait to see how you get on with that. And please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Feel like a proper YouTuber. And yeah, also follow our Instagram account called So From Home. I think it's so full stop from full stop home. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So give us a follow on that, and we're going to be having like a few memes and like bloopers, so that you can see the things that go wrong sometimes, and also see the work of everyone else. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank